Today we're going to take a look at this Laco Navy Cuxhaven. This is a recent release from this German brand, and I think an interesting one. It retails for about $1,200 US, so that price point, it's really facing some stiff competition. And I would say if you never bought a watch at that tier before, you should take a look at some of the usual suspects that myself as well as other watch fans suggest on a regular basis, like the Oris Diver 65 or the Aquis, or perhaps a Zen 104. But if you're not new to the price point and you want something a little outside of the norm, outside of the usual suspects, well, this watch carries some nice depth and details that I appreciate. So let's begin by placing some dimensions here on the screen, and I'm going to talk about some of those things that I enjoy. The first one is thermally tempered hands. You don't normally see this at the price point. In fact, it's more common to see painted hands, which really, they just don't compare. You don't get the depth and the color variation with painted hands as opposed to heat-treated steel, which these are. I think it makes a huge difference. I like the sub-seconds register just above the 6 o'clock position. It carries an ever so faint concentric circle guilloche texturing, which I find attractive. Even that handset there, you'll notice, is thermally blued. So I like the look of the watch. It's attractive, it's symmetrical, it's very easy to read at a glance. It carries Superluminova C3, and the lume is actually pretty potent. Now in daylight, it carries a little bit of a greenish hue, which I think works well with the tempered hands, the black railroad indexing, and that stark white dial that carries a little bit of a gloss finish to it. If we take a look at the case, you'll notice an entirely brushed case with polished coin edge bezel there. That's very nice to see, and I think works really well with a very defined teeth on the sign crown at the 3 o'clock position. The winding action is very pleasant, very mechanical, because you're hand winding a pocket watch movement. This is the ETA 6498 caliber. It is a fully mechanical hand winding movement here that you can see done in the Elabor finish, which I think really makes a difference. So nice and large Geneva striping, thermally blued screws, radially brushed barrel wheels there. You'll even notice Laco is engraved in the larger wheels. So I really like seeing this. I like seeing the oversized movement and a very large sapphire exhibition caseback. The watch really just, I don't know, would not be the same without seeing the innards here, without seeing the movement. And even when you wind it and you see what you're doing as you're winding the crown, that's just a very pleasant experience for us crazy watch fans. Now this movement ticks at 18,000 beats per hour, so it's a little bit of a low beat frequency. And remember guys, this movement wasn't designed for a wristwatch, which I think is why it looks so bold here in this one. It was originally designed for pocket watches. And Laco, they've made a lot of pocket watches over the years. So let's zoom back out. Let's talk about the negative aspects here as we wrap up the video. What would be those? Well, I would say, the strap that the watch ships on, which I'll give you a quick look at, it's nice. And I think it works well with the color combination, but I didn't really bond with it. I had to place it on this German-made Stabe mesh, which I think really, ties in nicely with that coin edging and helps soften the starkness of that white dial. The only other thing to note is the crown. As you pull it out to the last position, it does not hack the movement. This is a non-hacking movement. So it can be a little bit annoying to those of us that really like to line up the seconds hand with the atomic clock, to get it completely in sync. You're not going to be able to do that with this watch. But other than that, it's a well-built model. And I like the details. I like seeing the things that you really don't normally see at this price point. And it's a little outside the norm. Everybody has Diver 65s and Aquises and Zen 104s. And I love all those models. But this is definitely one to keep in mind if you're looking for something well-made, something German outside of those usual suspects. So a big thank you to Homer for lending this one in for a presentation. Really appreciate it. Thanks to you guys for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you in the next video.